afternoon, everyone. Hello and welcome to today's stream. Who's this guy?
Don't tell me what to do. We'll get that one right out of the way right now.
That's all it's been since he's arrived, is don't tell me what to do. I kid you not. So trying to get this here man, this WatchFlake friend of mine, to do what I want him to do for this stream. I don't know if I've succeeded, friends, so brace yourselves. Brace yourselves. No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And I just want to say this has been really, really cool. The fact that you're put on this tournament that has been ultra successful, and everyone here in the chat right now who are watching it are either have been participating or have had the interest in itself to see how this one shook out and to cast the finals, which is really cool. Yeah. So Flake is here to help me today to cast this. What is this called again? The Super Spiffy MTG tournament, the inaugural event. And yes, so he's gonna be carrying my ass hard through this while I attempt to cast and make sense. But it is of course going to be cast in true Alias fashion, so prepare yourselves for some derps and whatnot. Yes, friends. So I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm very excited because I'm excited too. Magic's great, and when Magic is brought together with like people who are, you know, I mean, there's prizes involved, right? So people actually are cool playing for keeps, and they're bringing their own jank, which is cool. So, I mean, you saw the deck list, I saw the deck list. There's some serious, interesting kind of a big spectrum of decks that you should be really intrigued to see pan out here. So. And the cool thing is that the top 8 deck lists are all different in their own way, so it's not all just Nexus of Fate or red deck wins. So thank you very much for bringing a variety of decks, friends. I appreciate that a bunch. So yeah, before we kick things off, friends, I need to say a big thank you again to our sponsors, TCG Player, Flipside Gaming, and Face to Face Toronto for some dope prizes. I'm gonna show you those dope prizes right now. Yes, and they look like this. Boom. So the prizes for first place, just so you guys are aware, is the full set of Ravnica Allegiance Guild kits, $125 hard cash that you guys helped raise. Thank you very much for that. $150 TCG Player store credit. Then second place gets $150 store credit from TCG Player. Third and fourth get $100 a piece, and then 5, 6, 7, and 8 each get $50 store credit from Face to Face Games. That's where I was yesterday, getting my ass handed to me by about 4,000 Hydro Crisis, so it's fine. Yes, Hydroid Crisis is a good boy. Yes, they just keep coming back and coming back and coming back, but it's okay. Yes, it's okay. I'm safe now. What little assholes, anyway. So. What? We're hearing from our producer right now, asking us in the earpiece that I don't actually have. There's a whole production team behind us. You can't see them right now. There's about 42 people right now getting lattes and pulling strings and pressing buttons and tweeting on their phones and making snide remarks at us. That's kind of how this goes. But we love that whole production team of one person providing technical support and emotional support all at the same time. Good people. Good people. All right, my friends, so for those of you who want to know, I'm pretty sure you want to see how the brackets panned out. Today we will be looking at the semi-finals, the third place match, and the final. So let us show you what those look like. Yeah, and it was a Swiss best of 6 that, or Swiss best of 6. It was a 6-round Swiss. Is it 7 rounds? 7 rounds. Yeah. Well, they're bonus round, ladies and gentlemen, bonus round. 7-round Swiss that brought out this top 8 that essentially shook out as you see it right there in front of you. Yeah. Zero Man, Andrew, Tinted Lions, Mad Yanner, One Latincer, Ellie, and Jason H were your top 8. They did battle yesterday after the event, after the 7 rounds of Swiss ended. And yeah, we're about to find out what exactly went down with that. So brace your underpants, friends. It's gonna be a good one. Absolutely. I believe the trademark statement is buckle your ass because it's about to get freaky. So what? I don't know. Trademarking that one right now. I don't know where I found this guy. Sorry, friends. Anyway, let's get into the very first semi-final, which shows Ellie versus One Latincer. So brace your pants, friends. Let's go. So Ellie versus One Latincer, and the interesting part about this, again, this whole broadcast here was put together as the tournament, you know,
pretty much completed yesterday in the later afternoon, early evening. So collecting all the information and making sure that all the videos came in. So for this one, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see what Latincer's hand, but we are going to sort of do our best to make sure that you're going all right here. And there's no love lost here because he's just throwing down lands really well, and it looks like he has a really nice color combination right off the bat, allowing him to, you know, just go ahead and slam down lands and you know, just establish a good mana base for that Hydroid Krasis or a Shivan Fire and an Angrath. It looks like he's in a good spot right off the bat.
It does look like we are facing off against one Latincer's Jeskai control list, so we can see a whole bunch of nope coming from one. Ellie, of course, playing 4-color concoction shenanigans. This deck confused me. I will say that. Treasure map coming down here is gonna enable Ellie to scry for whatever she wants to put on top of the deck.
Yeah, the treasure map's going to be a good option here really quickly. There's no, you know, there was no counter spell for that treasure map. Possible, you know, there's always a threat of a spell pierce just with that 1 mana open. But one Latincer opting to use that mana for Chemister's Insight to sort of scroll through the deck, giving that free treasure map scry coming in likely at the end of the turn. You see the stop up the top of there, but Teferi, our favorite guy, comes down.
Hi Teferi, how are you, bud?
Everyone's favorite magic mage guy, the Will Smith lookalike, is going to go ahead and make it happen there. So we know how this works. You know, scrying on the Teferi trigger, as much BM as you could possibly go there. Now, interesting point there, scrying away the land with a lot of 5 mana castable cards there. Looks like he's probably, oh, look, he found the land either way.
That land doesn't hit you in the face.
Absolutely. Now, with 2 mana open, that looks like a potential negate or even a spell pierce again. So Angrath and Ral Izzet are under threat of maybe getting, you know, tossed aside and just swept off the board with a potential negate. Again, we don't see the hand, so we're going to have to be as surprised as you are, but opting for the Hydroid Krasis here.
What I like about Hydroid Krasis is its ability procs no matter what. So if there is a counterspell coming, sure, the fishy dies, but yeah, you're gonna get some cards and some life off of that too, so. Exactly,
and this early in the game, dropping a Hydroid Krasis merely for 2 is just a matter of cycling cards and having a small threat on the board that is immediately shocked away by Latincer.
Shocking.
Shocking move by Latincer there. But Teferi's eventually going to start running the table. Once he gets to that 6 or 7, oh, he's getting rid of the treasure map, finding it more important to, you know, keep the deck as stagnant as possible.
Deny that ramp. Nice. I quite like that. I think that was a pretty good play. Using Teferi to put things out off the board, get rid of them.
Right, and I think it's mostly because of the fact that Latincer here likely has a lot of cards in his hand that can deal with board threats, so he can definitely go ahead and go minus on the Teferi to get rid of problems. And right there, with the mana locked up, Niv Mizzet hits the board, but that finds the perfect opportunity to shock away that Teferi.
And before it hits the board as well, so no ping to the face.
That's absolutely. Great. One extra little bit there, exactly. Right off the trigger, saving the card draw and the ping to face.
Status Statue, getting rid of Niv Mizzet straight away. She will take a ping to the face.
But that's a small price to pay. Again, it's so important when you're playing against blue to play on locked up mana. Mainly because of the fact that there's so many options to just go ahead and get rid of all your answers. Your status statue could have been, again, easily swept away by negates and such. So it's really difficult when playing against a blue or a Jeskai to make sure that you make most of your moves in very specific times, like on the Niv Mizzet trigger rather than when it hits the battlefield. With 7 mana on the board now, looks like a safe option to drop Angrath to avoid a possible spell pierce, but opting instead for Hydroid Krasis. Looking here, not worried about a spell pierce, and sorry, not a spell pierce, not worried about any type of counterspell. He wants the trigger more than the body on the board.
Let's see, does it sit?
Ooh, that's a lot of treasure.
That's a big boy. Hello, big fishy.
Again, no worries here. I think that from Latincer's point of view, there's likely a myriad of options that he has to get rid of this. Not to mention, just getting hit for 5 is not that bad. I have a feeling that a deck like that, like a Jeskai, is going to be able to eventually come clean and have no problem. And Ellie just hanging on to that Angrath, not worried about, you know, having a a Planeswalker on the board, rather more interested in having a board threat.
I quite like that. Fun fact about one Latincer, I faced off against them in one of the earlier games in the 7 rounds of Swiss, and they beat me with 1 life. I had one, no, they had 1 life left. I was sitting there trying to hit them with my Gate Ram dude and just nope.
Nope, never happened.
So control decks don't really care about life total. Once they get their rhythm or into their groove, they're gonna be just fine.
And I think the scariest thing that you can do when playing against blue is playing a card with 2 open mana on the blue side.
Yeah.
It's just, you have to make sure that you're ready to be disappointed. That's how it goes. Ral, is it hitting the board with the +1, looking for 2 cards, 1 going in the graveyard, say goodbye to the Blood Crypt. And still options for Treasure Map. Maybe this could actually be an option to pull a Spell Pierce out of the hand, pull a Negate out of the hand. Treasure Map with another one in hand doesn't necessarily seem like a very high value target or very important. Opting to play D over here, Niv Mizzet is now going to get some work done.
Oh, Niv Mizzet. You a fun friend.
Oh, he's a absolute a-hole sometimes. Now, Niv Mizzet gets all his work done basically with an open mana pool. Like, once he hits the board, if he's tapped out, that's one issue. But here we go, the Revitalize. And this is where it gets spooky, because it's a spell which draws a card, which draws a card, which triggers Niv, which draws a card. And then eventually, once you come back from pouring a coffee, you're probably down to 6 life, and your entire hopes and dreams are now crushed.
But one focusing on Ral Izzet here, thinking that that is the bigger threat on the board rather than the Hydroid Krasis. I kind of like that. I
think that's the right play here. Hydroid Krasis is not an issue. I think that there's more cards for Latincer to play that can deal with the with the Hydroid Krasis. Again, life is a resource like your mana.
Yeah.
Don't feel too bad about spending it or giving it up in order to gain an advantage. Getting rid of the Ral Izzet or getting or actually keeping it into a position where it can't use its ult or its minus ability, or using its minus ability to just get it off the board, that's probably the better option. You want to be pruning that Ral down to a reasonable level so that Niv Mizzet can continue to do its work. Now, threatening to throw down an Angrath, which I very much like here, because now there's 2 targets, 2 big deals on the board for him to deal, for Latincer to have to worry about here. But again, with Niv Mizzet on the board, Ailey, there's all kinds of nuttiness that can happen.
Here comes the Syncopate, as we expected would be in Latincer's hand. But playing around the Negate there on the Spell Pierce, quite well. I think Ellie's been itching to get this thing on the board. Unfortunately, though, it's not going to sit.
Angrath, a card that I believe once when Dominaria hit and whatnot, the prices for that card, and just I'm talking paper here now, weren't all that high. And I figured that once the Ravnica Allegiance set came out, I had a good feeling that card was going to just spike in price, and we're seeing it a lot more. And it's a very, very nice, awesome Planeswalker. Just its +1 ability, deal 2 damage, discard a card, can really...
Yeah, that can mess you up good.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely cause some problems.
Face Smork and card advantage, I like it. Hand disruption is very, very important.
Now these 2 floating 5/5s just staring each other in the face, having themselves a good time, talking about their common bond of blue. And here it comes. I have a feeling that if you're just hitting that Hydroid Krasis for 1, you can definitely know that there's more coming down.
I think old Hydroid Boy is going to get removed from the board here, especially drawing 3 cards. That'll do it pretty easy. Yeah, Precog Perception coming in to draw 3 cards and scry them as well in the main phase means that Niv Mizzet's going to make short work of that Hydroid Krasis. Niv Mizzet's just standing there holding court, raining pure fire on his opponent. Death by Petwee. Feels bad, man. Alright, so what does this follow up? Do you think we see an attack from Niv? Oh, for sure. Niv, again, I think Jeskai Control's main option here is not necessarily to be aggressive to face. It's just to deal with threats as they appear until your opponent is out of options, out of cards. Yeah. I think you're going to see more aggression from Latincer once Ellie has a hand of about 2 cards or so. Once there's less options to get that Niv Mizzet off the board, or making the removal of Niv Mizzet a very costly one, because the difference between 1 card in hand and 0 cards in hand is enormous, because 1 card in hand can really change the tides of a game, whereas 0 cards in hand means that you know that you're free and clear to just go ahead. So I think dropping 2 spells like you're going to see right now, the Lava Coil and the Shock,
are going to get rid of, or rather the Shivan Fire here. That's my bad.
I also figured it might be the Shock coming down, but Shock does offer more options in terms of face Mork as well, so...
Yeah, you never know when that's going to
yeah.
happen. The Shock could also be an instant answer to another Teferi that goes minus right off the bat.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this pans out, how this shakes out. There's a Sinister Sabotage. More.
Does Ellie go for the kill here with the Shock? Heck yeah.
Perfect timing on that one, but don't forget, Niv Mizzet still has 2 open mana for an op, the Shock. There's all kinds of craziness that can occur. He can also go ahead and just drop a Syncopate to just get rid of the rest of the mana there.
Ooh,
Expansion Explosion. Boom, there it goes. So there's the insta concede. Once you see that stack of Niv Mizzet nonsense happen, you can instantly go ahead and escape enter that one. We do not want to see how tall that stack would end up.
Alrighty, going to sideboard now. What do we think Ellie wants to bring in against this control shenanigans?
Well, Banefire right there is probably your first option. Basically, I mean, she wasn't having any issues with land generation and having land on the board, but Banefire is going to be a big deal because of the fact that playing against a Jeskai control, you're going to have a lot of... She already saw Syncopate, she already saw Sinister Sabotage. Banefire is going to be able to just bust right through those stoppages and either kill a Niv Mizzet if necessary, or just in late game go ahead and just burn face for 9 or 10 to get some damage done. She's ditching the Lava Coils because those are not going to really kill anything straight off the bat. If there were some actual... Drakes on board, I'd say keep those in, but she did not see that at all. She's looking more towards a really a major control deck that really operates solely around the Niv Mizzet. So dropping 3 Lava Coils, or 4 Lava Coils rather, opens up a lot of options, which she's filled up with Banefire, and she's dropping in Direfleet Daredevil in there. So
the 2 Death Lizards made an appearance as well, which are very, very good options against control.
Death Lizards.
Death Lizards. Carney T.
Carney T.
Carney T.
One of my favorite cards ever. When I first got into Magic, that was the card that I went and I think it was like my first major... My first big purchase was Carnage Tyrant, and I never looked back.
Yes, I remember when we got into Paper Magic, you said, "Hey, we should get a box of Ixalan." I was like, "Why?" Because there's Carnage Tyrant in there, and we pulled one of the Carnage Tyrants out of our packs.
Absolutely. So,
and you basically salivated until we gave it to you. So yes.
Yeah,
you very much like that card.
You and I have some type of like trade agreement. It's like a trade pact. Whenever we play Magic or buy cards, usually it's an open trade system where. Do you need this card? Okay, it's like every Friday night before we do Magic on Saturdays, it's usually
do you have this? Do you have this?
It's this giant it's this big correspondence on WhatsApp of here's what I need, do you have it? Or here's what I need, do you have it? And then we just show up and just give it to each other. So game 2 over here, Ellie conceded the first one. So Latincer in the driver's seat for this. I don't know how many changes Latincer would have made, considering the fact that he kind of just ran the table in that previous game.
Perhaps we might see some Lyra Dawnbringer coming in. Maybe a Nezahal.
Yeah.
Some of the bigger, bulkier dudes.
So
maybe even a Mass Manipulation. Stealing some of the critters off the board.
There's a really cool card that I'm seeing a lot. I've had it happen to me countless times yesterday. Mass Manipulation. It seemed like an expensive card, paying 8 to take control of 2, but even just paying 6 to grab something big could really change the tides there. Siloé coming in, grabbing the Gruul Spellbreaker. And Cindervines might be that little... ping, that little
extra irritation, like a little flea that keeps biting your butt.
Well, you know what's worse than 1 Cindervines?
2
Cindervines. It's Cinderviney goodness of just scratching away at the opponent's health total, now down to 16.
Which is perfect against a control game as well, because they're all about non-creature spells. So,
absolutely.
Look at that.
Cindervines coming in, crushing the seal away, which also does 2 to face, opening up the Gruul Spellbreaker once again.
Welcome back.
Right. Attacking before playing any cards here. There's an option to drop a Chain Whirler. There he goes. And look at like that. Just like that, you're already down to 9 health. Sinister Sabotage saying no thank you, but Cindervine's getting that Chain Whirler ping no matter what. Good news here is that that's 1 Sinister Sabotage out of the way. 4 mana now. 1 Lancer just passing the turn.
Big Jellyfish coming back. Hey.
Thing is, with Hydroid Crisis coming down for 1, you're not getting the life total and you're not getting the card draw off of it. So you're really just dropping in a 3-mana 1/1 flyer, which doesn't seem like the best possible way. But going in anyways.
Hydroid Crisis for 1? He's looking for some options here. I think the play is to try and find some more land.
No cards, no nothing.
Oh, right, yeah, because it rounds down.
Well, what what Ellie's pretty much done here is presented a board state that says, all right, there it is.
There we go.
It says that you have to answer this and waste mana to deal with my board without establishing your own. And with Cindervines continuously pinging away. So if you thought about it in that previous game, Cindervines could have been such a pest because let's say they play a spell to get rid of one of the creatures off the board. That's one ping from Cindervines already. Yeah. Second thing that has to come down is that you can just drop and kill Cindervines to crush if there's an enchantment or whatever, and then you're already doing another 2 damage and you already have a 1 or 2 or 4 strength creature on the board. And plus with the status statue on over there was plenty of options. Latincer's, you know, pulling the cord on that one and getting out of there.
So no sideboarding from Ellie. Ellie is happy with the cards that are in the deck, and this looks like a really good opening hand. 2
Blood Crypts, a Dragon Skull, a Stomping Ground. Looks like there's going to be a nice array of mana available over there. You can drop the Stomping Ground right off the bat and play it into a Dragon Skull Summit, getting a nice 3 colors spectrum there, dropping Treasure Map. You can put down Blood Crypt, shock yourself into Blood Crypt for Chain Whirler. You have plenty of options here.
And the ramp potential from Treasure Map as well to get into Carney T as soon as possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I like it.
So the in that case, I mean, if your thoughts are that you want to get Carnage Tyrant out as soon as possible, you're probably not going to be playing your Chain Whirler on curve. You're likely going to be tapping your Treasure Map when necessary, but there goes the Treasure Map right away. A Spell Pierce making short work of... But there was treasure at the end of that map. Did they not know?
Not a rainbow.
And an instant resolve for Goblin Chain Whirler means that there might not be any counter magic in one Latincer's hand.
Yeah, there was no stuff there at all. That's troublesome. So...
No big deal yet. I think that dropping another Blood Crypt there... Curious over there playing... Oh, so never mind. Steam Vent's coming in instead for the tap. And I wonder... I mean, in this case, Chain Whirler seems like the right answer. There might be... There was some little hesitation there. Do you think that maybe she was thinking that, you know, another white land and, you know, other planes and maybe a Cleansing Nova could have dealt with that board?
Definitely. And there's also Settle the Wreckage to worry about if that's been sided in. So as soon as that extra source of white mana becomes available, then Ellie's going to be a little less hasty too.
So Latincer was mainboarding 1 Settle the Wreckage with a second in the sideboard. So there's a potential for 2 possible Settle the Wreckages to be played here. The only problem is you're locked on mana, 1 white only available. So there's no threat for Settle just yet, but it looks like it's going to be pretty ugly at the moment. I mean, Latincer needs an answer now, and it has to be pretty significant because those Chain Whirlers...
those will get the job done. Oh, taking a ping to the
face. And there's the Cleansing Nova, so we did see that
Mm-hmm.
coming. Good call on that. Got rid of it, but again, here comes Carnage Tyrant, and he's going to regret not having 2. But double Chain Whirler coming back with Find.
One of them can hit the board immediately because one is tapped out.
And that's it. There's Threatening Lethal right there.
Whee! Let's see, does one have another answer for Ellie's Chain Whirly gigs?
So there were Sealaways that can get rid of it, but I mean, just think about it. You're at 3, so anything in Ellie's hand is instant death. Chain Whirler gonna pick away another one. Imagine if she can manage to draw a Cindervines, that's pretty much the nail in the coffin. But it looks pretty good. I suspect that this is likely going to be, if he goes +1 here, it's because he's holding a Seal Away, I would imagine. That's what I'm suspecting over now. He's going to open up probably a white, a Sulphur Falls, and a Glacial Fortress. What I would guess happens here. We shall see.
Da-da.
I nailed it.
We're kind of correct.
Steam Vents. Same color combination, yeah.
But with the Gruul Spellbreaker coming down and threatening haste to the face,
And that does it. She saw it. No problem. I wonder if they were holding an actual seal away over there.
No, one is in the chat. We can find out and ask. Were you holding a seal away, bud? What was in your hand? Do tell.
I'm wondering now. Again, I haven't seen these games before. You haven't seen these games before.
I've seen them roughly because I put them all together. But yeah, so I wanted to be surprised. Like, I wanted to see how you guys got around each other's deck lists and stuff. And I think that was a pretty cool game. Those Cinder Vines, they do some real work against control, eh?
Cinder Vines is now kind of seeing a little bit more prevalence because of the fact that it's a useful card against decks that play a lot of, that are almost creatureless.
Yeah.
Every enchantment, every sorcery spell that comes down, you're taking one ping for it, which could get really annoying. Not to mention, think about those Nexus of Fate loops. Every time you're playing it, you're getting, so really that...
Yeah, because that's non-combat damage, correct? So if they play Fog or anything like that, you're still getting pinged.
That's correct.
I think that's correct. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna... Judge? Judge? No, we don't have that.
We don't have a judge. We did have a judge yesterday, though. Thank you again to Face-to-Face Games for hiring somebody for the day for us. So all the difficult decisions and questions we left to them. So if you had any issues with any calls made, Go blame them.
And Latins are saying that he did in fact have seal away. So we did get that call right, which was great. Because, when you're threatening lethal on the board and you go up with Teferi, that's either the ballsiest move ever, hoping that you draw the seal away, or you've already got it tucked nicely in your back pocket and you're ready to just slam it down.
Yeah. Just so you guys know in chat as well, if you would like to see the top 4's deck lists, they are available there. We will mention them sideboarding and whatnot, but if you would like to take a closer look and inspect, there they are. Ellie, I didn't have a name for your deck, so I just called it a 4-color concoction because, my god, that deck is bananas. I dig it. I dig it. All right.
Are we ready to go to the next one?
Yeah, I think we are. Let's get that queued up.
Absolutely. Semifinals number 2 featuring Andrew and Tinted, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that is correct. So let's head on over and see how this game plays out.
So Andrew and Tinted coming into this one. Always afraid of that Karn profile picture.
I think most people get tilted when they see Teferi.
Oh, absolutely. That or Chandra. You're just like, it's like, not today. Not today. So this feed over here was live. This game was live streamed on Andrew's Twitch account. So you might see, excuse me, a little bit more of his facial emotions, which is going to be nice.
Yeah, it will be pretty cool. So Andrew is up. He's playing Sultai midrange versus, I believe. Let me just confirm.
It looks like a kind of like a mono.
Azorius aggro.
Yeah. And the only blue sword, or the only blue card that's besides the lands in there, is the Deputy of Detention. Now, Breeding Pool coming down, taking the shock to go ahead and bust out our favorite Lanoir elf, who is just
Lenny the Lanoir.
Absolutely. And there's our MVP in Andrew's hand, Hydroid Krasis. Looking for Overgrown Tomb, probably coming in for the shock to drop Jade Light straight off the bat. No trade here, absolutely not. No thank you.
Nope. No touchy, as I like to say. Ooh, turn 3, Jade Light Ranger goes fishing for some hopefully bigger threats, maybe a board wipe or something.
Yeah, he's probably going to chuck anything but land here. He did, yeah, so maybe not. That's probably going to stay there because of the fact that he has many more Jade Lights, and he's realizing he's playing against an aggro, a more creature-based aggressive deck. So those Wild Growth Walker Texas Rangers are going to be for sure hitting the board and getting some stuff there. But Deputy of Detention already a threat in the hand. Now the question here is he going to get greedy with it, or is he just going to steal away the a Wild Growth Walker right now? Does he take the Jade Lights? I mean, with 2 Jade Lights in Andrew's hand right now, that obviously his opponent does not know. Tinted has no idea. But, he just drew another Deputy Detention, which makes that a much easier choice.
Ooh, that's actually quite threatening, though, because if Andrew is forced to play the 3 Jade Light Rangers, then that Deputy of Detention just gains even more value, so...
Absolutely.
Gotta be careful and aware of that, seeing the first Deputy come down.
Opting to just go ahead and trade with the Loxodon here, giving up the board. He could have had a favorable trade with the Haunted Witness. Unfortunately, he chose to just take away the big threat here, knowing that he had more Jade Lights happening, putting in that Watery Grave, going ahead and dropping a Jade Light as well, keeping that Lanoir Elf open to block potentially.
Ooh.
You definitely want that, but I don't think you're going to ever get to play it. I think that he's going to need to play Jade Light Ranger here. I think what his plan is possibly is to maybe find another Llanowar Elf or some type of creature that he can throw on the board with Jade Light, or some type of option, likely even maybe a land so that Hydroid Krasis can come in, but...
The only removal that Andrew's running in the main board at the moment, I say only, being Fine Finality, Vraska's Contempt, cast down on Assassin's Trophy, so he really wants to find something that helps him survive this, and I don't think the hottest check is going to do it, being a little land screwed at the moment.
No, this doesn't look good at all. I mean, Fine Finality is 2 or 3 turns away. You know, putting a land on the board here is just a little... you know, just making him show that I finally got another land. Now, I like Assassin's Trophy in this matchup mainly because of the fact that giving a white weenie deck extra lands past turn 5 is really not...
No, it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal at all. You might be thinning out a card or two, but I mean, the difference between 6 lands or 7 lands for a deck that only has, you know,
like 1 drops, 2 drops.
1 and 2 drops exactly. It's not really going to tilt the board in any way. The removal is much more important in that case. Looking at the sideboards here, I'm guessing that there's probably going to be less Fine Finalities, but he's getting rid of all his big stuff. So you can say goodbye to Carnage Tyrant because it's going to be way too far down the road. There's the 2 Cryocrinariums. That's a big ad over there. That's going to be a nice sweep onto the board.
Yeah, that'll get rid of those pesky Hunted Witnesses who poop out more dudes as soon as they die. So.
Thrashing Bronto is going to get some love as well. I suspect that if Thrashing Bronto hits the board, I don't think that he would trade it. I mean, if we're looking at the other list, I believe the other list had 4 History of Benalias. Yes. Now, Thrashing Bronto doesn't necessarily have too many options to crush your opponent. I mean, besides the History of Benalias, you have 1 Conclave Tribunal main board. So really, if you're exchanging a Thrashing Bronto to kill a History of Benalia, I don't think that's a fair swap.
I think going after the Legion's Landing is probably a better idea. You don't want that land to flip because as soon as it does, it's just extra value, more blockers, extra life. If Tinted can go wide and smack face and get rid of those Wild Growth Walkers, then I think they're sitting pretty. Yes,
getting rid of that, the Tepid of Detention coming in and taking that Wild Growth Walker was absolutely enormous, because what that did was not only the fact that the life gain, but he had 2 more Jadelight Rangers and locked and loaded to go hit the board, which made those Wild Growth Walkers just game breakers, gaining the 6 life, becoming 3/6 blockers. That would have just completely nullified Tinted's strategy of going face and getting you know, just hammering your opponent down to 0.
Oof, those 2 hands are not looking great there.
And that's 2 times mulliganing down. I mean, that's really difficult, especially when you're only getting 1 land and that 1 land is not green. Your Llanowar Elf is just kind of sitting on the bench saying, what the hell? But there's Woodland Cemetery to bail him out, bringing in the Branch Walker to hopefully draw some more lands for him.
Ooh, did Tinted keep a 1-lander? I don't know, there we go. There's the...
Yeah, he kept a 1-lander. That was and the 1-lander was Watery Grave.
No, I'm talking about
oh, sorry.
Our opponent up top there, yeah.
Oh, right. There it is. There's the sideboard hero, Tecatli Honor Guard, just saying, I don't care about exploration anymore, so you're going to have to probably get rid of this in some way. And if I'm not mistaken, Andrew found an Assassin's Trophy and decided to pitch it into the graveyard, probably completely regretting that move right now, because that Tecatli Honor Guard is never going to move. It's just going to sit there and stall his opponent.
Yeah. No blockies, no attackies, nothing. It's just going to sit there until he can find something to get rid of it with. His game plan is going to be a little stunted.
Yeah, and you can see it on Andrew's face over there. He's a little bit concerned about what's going on, because he knows that the Tecatli Honor Guard is literally the biggest C block of life right now. just completely shutting down his strategy of creating a board that really snowballs with the Branch Walkers, etc. Thrashing Bronto just desperate for land to come out, but instead the Llanowar Elf's going to have to be turned sideways to bring out that big dino.
Tinted, on the other hand, is sitting real pretty with 2 Histories of Benalia ticking there, making some big knights. The Benalish Marshal, I think, is going to hit the board next turn, making the first history even tougher.
Yeah, if that Benalish Marshal never hit the ground, there would have been a scenario, I'm thinking, where the Branch Walker would be trading, as well as the Bronto, getting rid of those Vigilant Knights. But Banalish Marshall comes down saying, these guys are going to live, and it's going to be a pretty big smack.
This is going to hurt. Oh.
Yeah, it's 15 to face. When I would do in the scenario is most likely go ahead and double block with, there we go. Yeah, I would double block over there because he can't clear both of them. Oh, he's just single?
One? All right.
Oh, okay, so he's going to go ahead and scrap that.
I like that play. That's pretty good.
That's not bad. That is definitely not bad. Mainly because I think he's thinking that even if he absorbs and kills one of the knights, the next tick on Benalia is going to be that's going to kill him, yeah. And just to add a little insult to injury, another Wild Growth Walker would have been phenomenal if that Tecatli Honor Guard wasn't there. What a pickup. What a sideboard move.
Damn.
Yeah, that's it. That is a 2-0 in short order.
I wonder what would have happened if he'd kept that Assassin's Trophy. How different would that game have been?
I think it would have been a lot different, mainly because of the fact that Tecatli Honor Guard would have been gone. Now, you're losing tempo by getting rid of it, but having that Wild Growth Walker, the Wild Growth Walker in that case would have been the exact same thing as that Tecatli Honor Guard would have been. It would have sat back for the beginning, not risking any type of removal or unfair trades. And then even if you're down to 5 or 6, as soon as you drop one Branch Walker and then a second Branch Walker, because you're also forgetting is the fact that the Tecatli Honor Guard wasn't just stopping the life gain aspects of the from the Wild Growth Walker.
Stopping the Explorer as well.
It was stopping the Explorer, meaning that those lands and the cycling through your deck to finding those cards. Yeah. I honestly believe that if he had kept that that Assassin's Trophy, there would have been a much better chance for him. Probably I would even maybe have given him a favorable outlook there.
Possibly. Potentially. Obviously we don't know what would have happened. There's always conclaves off the sideboards and baffling ends to get rid of the Wild Growth Walkers.
100%, but not in his hand, but he did have Fine Finality in his hand, meaning that if he could survive to that 6 mana plays, throwing down 2 counters on the Wild Growth Walker, clearing the board, and then going face, that's when white weenie or white, minion, white aggro like this becomes a bigger issue because they're not drawing cards. They're just going one after another. So they're really counting on the fact that you can protect what's on the board and really generate a wide board quickly that your opponent is struggling to get rid of. Spot removal against white decks like this really struggle. That's why Adanto's there, because they can withstand removal. That's why Hunted Witness is there. That's why Dauntless Bodyguard's there. It's there to protect the board because card draw later is just nightmarish.
Yeah. So yeah, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened there, but after the semifinals have completed, this is what the bracket looks like. Now, the finals, which is going to be Tinted versus Ellie. But before we get to that, friends, we are going to show you the 3rd place playoff between Andrew and One Latin Sir. Alrighty, friends, we are back. It is finals time. By finals, I mean the 3rd place game, because that's what we're looking at first. Yes, and there is a...
That is a production getting into my ear. You know what they say? Oh, I have production in my ear? Yeah. I literally had production in my ear. Thanks, production.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's not quite the finals yet, because it would be really bad show running if we went ahead and spoiled the winner before we went to 3rd place.
No, we're not spoiling
I don't know. We're not spoiling anything.
No.
Not here. Not today. Not on my watch.
No.
Don't tell me what to do.
Okay, fine. So in the 3rd place playoff, we have Andrew versus One Latin Sir. So that is the Jeskai control matchup versus Sultai midrange. I wonder what we're going to see here.
Oh, we're going to see a stack this high of Niv Mizzet nonsense is what we're going to see.
Yes, there's just going to be Niv Mizzet pings going everywhere.
It's going to be bananas. Now, I've seen this before at face-to-face games where one of our lovely sponsors.
Good job.
I once was sitting next to a game of Niv Mizzet where the stack was probably about 8 or 9 cards deep, where they also had to wedge in just regular sleeves to sort of indicate Niv Mizzet pings.
Really?
Yeah, and eventually the judge came in and they were doing it, and the thing was like this long. It was just card, ping, card, ping, card, ping, ping, card, ping, and it was just like, I'm like, oh my lord, what is this nonsense?
Holy crap, we are spoiled with Rena, aren't we?
Yes, we are. And I was just sitting next to it with my hand. I'm like, I will play Landmore Elf. It's like, no ping, no nothing.
This is the real reason I play like white weenies and Boros aggro and stuff, because I just know one thing. Put the dude down, make it go sideways, and smork. That's my jam, right? All this control shenanigan nonsense where there's stacks this high. No, that's not for me.
You keep that jam off my toast, because that's not what I do. I don't like that at all. But
I don't actually know what kind of player you are. You never settle on anything.
No, not really. I like to keep everything kind of out in the open there. I like creatures, mid-range, sometimes control, never Teferi, Nexus can bite it. That's kind of my... That's the bumper sticker that
Nexus can bite it.
Nexus
TM.
can bite it.
You gonna copyright that?
Don't tell me what to do.
Fine. All right, friends.
Copyright that. Don't tell me what to do.
You be quiet. Right. Friendos, let's get into our third game featuring Andrew and one Latin. So this is going to be a goodie. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Let's go.
All right, so that looks like a pretty decent hand over here. Landmore Elf and a Wild Growth Walker right off the bat. Possible ramp up to a Vivian if he doesn't draw anything. Playing against a slower deck, that could be an option, but there's always the counterspell to sort of ruin your day on the other side. Again, we only have one side of the board here. We do not see the opponent's hand, so this is going to be just as much as a lovely surprise for you as it is for us.
And as I'm sure it was for Andrew, so here it goes.
And there it is, the vintage green move of mana into Landmore Elf.
Oh yeah.
Opening up a Wild Growth Walker, not necessarily taking care of that ramp right away, but Wild Growth Walker hitting the board in a very safe position.
Lenny getting to do face damage, which doesn't often happen.
No. That's a power move right there.
Oh yeah, assert the dominance.
Sometimes he's just there and he's like, all you do is just use me and use me and use me, and I have these two giant knives and I'm sick of cutting toast for you. I'm sick of carving roasts and doing things like that. Put me to work.
Yes, let me boop snoots too, please.
Choosing not to drop the Incubation Druid just yet. Opting to go ahead and just have it in the hand. But look at that. Viv Reed could make an appearance here. Okay, maybe not, because Lenny the Landmore Elf has decided to go ahead on his own little mission, saying, Viv, chill out. There's always next turn.
Yep, Incubation Druid makes an appearance. I can speak English. Makes an appearance. This is also a mana pooper, but...
Not today. Sinister Sabotage.
Today.
But that's a Sinister Sabotage that could have potentially eaten a Viv Reed. So it depends on your school of thought over here. I mean, you can always play very carefully and not playing cards because you're afraid of counter magic. But at the same time, if you're always playing... if you're not playing the card, it's as good as playing a counterspell. It's almost like you're not getting the card value, right? So sometimes you have to put the pressure on your opponent to have the card.
Make them have it. That's one of the first things you actually told me when I started playing Paper Magic. You're like, don't be afraid of it. Make them have it.
Make them have it, because if they don't have it, then it sounds weird. If they don't have it and you don't play it, then they have it, right? So that's it's like a Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah,
it's a Schrodinger's counterspell. So Lenny and the Wild Growth Walker gonna go pay a visit to Mr. Teferi, saying, -3, suck it. You want to go -3? It's gonna cost you everything.
Deafening Clarion hits the board, and bye-bye to your critters.
And that's a pretty big one over there, because what that does is it gets rid of the Landmore Elf and the Wild Growth Walker, which was going to have some ticks on that Jade Light Ranger.
Lenny makes a reappearance.
Yes, and having Viv Reed go ahead and go crazy over here is going to be really good, allowing Andrew to go ahead and fill his hand with creatures, really, smoking out those counter spells as best as he can. Jade Light Ranger coming in, likely looking to maybe find that Assassin's Trophy, keeping that on top. Not sure what else he has in terms of actual removal to deal with Teferi. I think he's going to have to, unfortunately, rely upon just smashing face with it. I think that a deck that he's running now doesn't necessarily have to worry about running out of resources because of the fine finalities to sort of replenish the board. And once you get off that Viv Reed emblem, it's a whole different story. It's an absolutely whole different story.
One Latins are dispatching of the Branch Walker. Lenny the Landmore hits the board. So potentially there could be a Teferi death on our hands, but it depends.
We'll see.
Well, maybe.
I suspect over here that if he does go +1, it's because he has a Settle the Wreckage in hand. If not, if he goes -3, it's because he wants to get rid of that Viv Reed, because he right now Jade Light Ranger is and the Llanowar Elf are representing a big threat to Teferi. Teferi going +1 will keep it alive, but what that also does is it means that he can't go -3 on the Viv Reed, allowing it to go up to 8, and then the next turn embleming. Okay, so I think there's a Settle the Wreckage or a Cleansing Nova in the hand right now.
Let's see.
Or a Seal Away.
Or a Ral.
Or a Ral going. Ral's going to do some work on Jadelight Ranger. Oh, maybe not. He's still looking for some words. So 2 open mana. Teferi going to open another 2. Which
is it white? Let's find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be the Foundry. There it goes. So that is 3 white mana open. It could be absolutely anything over here. It could be 2 Sealaways.
Yeah. Ooh, Big Fish. Big Fish is making an appearance.
Now, right here, in my opinion, yeah, you want to make sure that that Teferi never gets close to ulting or even, you know, threatening the Viv Reed. Because Viv Reed right now means... Oh, wow. Okay, so there's no threat there. Viv Reed is going to ult next turn unless there's something that they can... if there's, you know, a Ixalan's Binding. I'm trying to look at what is in the sideboard to deal with that. Or not the sideboard, rather. Yeah. Main board to deal with that.
Nothing at the moment that I see. There are shocks available to just ping her down, but
that doesn't seem like a good enough option. Using a shock purely to get rid of a Viv Reed doesn't seem like the right answer. I mean, he might have to just to buy some time, but it looks like Viv Reed's going to go off because what else is there to possibly do? Teferi
could send it back. No, he's sitting on 1 at the
moment. He's sitting on 1. That's why that Jadelight Ranger and that Llanowar Elf hitting him was really going to be problematic. But Niv Mizzet hits the board, opening up a crap ton of opportunity here. Once that bad boy hits the board, it's really a crapshoot, and there's going to be some fireworks coming down from that big smug bastard.
He is a good lizard wizard. No, is he a lizard wizard? No, he's a dragon wizard.
He's a dragon wizard, I believe.
Yes.
But there we go. So the threat of Viv Reed's gone because she's going to go ahead and take care of the Niv Mizzet. No card or spell used to get rid of it, so no Niv Mizzet trigger, which is great. But Viv Reed just got halved over here, so it's going to be another matter of having to, you know, work her way up and really be a little bit more... Oh, there's the Seal Away. That's going to hit the Jadelight Ranger.
Yeah. One of them. Opting to go for the smaller of the 2.
It seems a little odd why you'd take the smaller Jadelight versus the bigger Jadelight Ranger. Very interesting, because that just meant that Teferi took 4 instead of 3, which puts it at 2 now, meaning it can't ult if it wants. It can't go -3 if it wants to, and it still dies to a +1. That's a very suspect play. I don't know if that was just a quick play, slapping down the Seal Away on that one. Unless I'm missing something, I don't know. But it seems like that might have been a little bit of a misstep there. Maybe a quick playing too much and just grabbing the Jadelight.
Perhaps. Niv Mizzet back again, pinging away at Vivian Reed, who is possibly the biggest threat on the board here. Hydroid Crisis can be dealt with in several ways.
So the thing about Hydroid Crisis right now is that 6 is not really that big of a threat, because even though if it goes face or attacks, the trample is going to be great and all, but only one of it's going to get through a Niv Mizzet block. Not to mention any type of spell, any type of card draw means that Niv Mizzet's going to finish it off with that 1 extra damage, or sorry, that 1 extra damage on that 1 remaining health. So it all depends on whether Niv Mizzet is gonna be the, you know, if he wants to keep it in on the board to do some more work. But there is our man, the Ravenous Chupacabra, saving Vivian Reed from actually hitting the having to use her -3. We'll see if there's some counter magic in the opponent's hand here, but no, opting to just say, you know what, I don't even want to risk it. I do not want to risk that Ravenous Chupacabra going off to a counter magic.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I think I don't think Vivian is the win condition here. I think having the creatures being able to smork face when the opportunity arises, I think that's going to win the game ultimately for Andrew. But let's see if he can deal with these pesky Planewalkers first.
No respect for Settle the Wreckage here. Oh, there it is!
You get some land.
Oh, goodness me. And the scary part about this right now is that even though Andrew's holding Finality in hand, he cannot go get those cards back because they're exiled to hell. And I don't know if he knows that, but he just played fine thinking that he might get them back.
No, I think he knows. I think he knows. Andrew's an excellent player, always on top of the leaderboards.
I'm just saying, when you're staring down a Niv Mizzet and a Teferi and a Ral, sometimes reality does not make sense anymore. So I wouldn't blame him if that was a little bit of a miscue. But no, he wants that Incubation Druid. He wants that Wild Growth Walker. He wants board presence, because eventually there's going to be some options where his opponent is not going to have answers for the onslaught, for the attack. Just looking at the Niv list over here, I mean, there's one Settle the Wreckage side on main board, another in the sideboard. What is there really to deal with attacking? The Deafening Clarions could get rid of that, make short work. Cleansing Nova says goodbye. Thank you, adios. And now there might be a little bit of some regret in getting rid of that Vivian Reed. Vivian Reed was a great way to just ensure that you're getting
keep cycling through cards.
Absolutely.
Oh, there's an Assassin's Trophy though.
Assassin's Trophy looks good. Again, the board on your opponent he's not showing any basic lands, so this might actually be a free Assassin's Trophy to just come out without any downside. He's using it here without any fear of a Sinister Sabotage or a Negate, but he's gonna go get rid of it. There's the Sinister Sabotage. Good game. No. There. No. Sorry. We are going to Sinisterly Sabotage. The board state right now just looks really, really grim. And a hand of 3 lands and a Chupacabra with no creatures on board?
Yeah.
No gracias.
That's a little rough. I do think maybe he should have tried Chupacabraing Niv Mizzet instead of losing Vivian. Because Vivian just helps you cycle through the top of your deck, right? Just to keep looking for creatures and answers.
Right. But on the side of, I mean, not only that, but let's say you play the Chupacabra. What creatures are you really saving that Chupacabra for? You might as well
Niv, basically.
That's it. So you might as well throw down the Chupacabra. If it eats a counterspell, then it eats a counterspell. And you know, you're the only fear that I would have is that with that counterspell going off, Niv Mizzet pings the Vivian, who can no longer go -3 to kill it. So it was really a matter of having to assess the risk versus the reward, taking the safe route of getting rid of Niv Mizzet and having that Chupacabra in the back pocket. So I think that was the right play. I think that was the best and safest way to go, because I mean, knowing what you're up against, as soon as you see Teferi, you can automatically assume things like Negate. You can automatically assume that there are going to be some other a-hole plays like Sinister Sabotages, Syncopates, that whole package that, you know, brings you no friends in high school. So that said, he's working his sideboard here, taking his time, really assessing the situation, probably playing a lot less creatures that are you know, like Incubation Druid seems okay. The 4 Jadelight Rangers are super important with the Wild Growth Walkers.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
That is definitely what you need to be playing with.
Duress is being added in to attempt to find old Teferi and make him go bye-bye.
Now, if it was up to me, I would likely go ahead and drop, maybe drop the Incubation Druid and put another Duress. I don't know why he's not maximizing his Duress here, because you can play Duress on turn 1. You could play it on turn 2.
Turn 2 twice if you wanted to.
Well, that's it. If you're running out, and in that point, if you get lucky, you're paying 1 black mana to get rid of Teferi without any option of any type of response or anything. And he is playing, he is on the play now, so that was always an option. Not putting in 4 Duresses might seem like the wrong move here, but we're going to see how this one shakes out anyways. So they're loading into the game here. One Latincer's won the first one with a Teferi, Ral, Niv Mizzet trifecta of doom.
The unholy trinity, let's call them that. I don't know.
The A-holy trinity? We can call them the A-holy trinity.
No, they're good cards. They're strong cards, and together they are quite difficult to break through. It's just like a wall of nope.
Absolutely. And that's what the deck is built to do, right? It's to keep the board clean, minimize your opponent's threats. Yeah. For a mid-range situation, that's probably your ideal matchup, mainly because of the fact that you're not getting smoked down early. You're not taking too much damage. I mean, Andrew has the option of playing into a very early aggressive state. He just didn't have the draw for it. Yeah. Playing your Llanowar into a A turn 3 double branch walker on the Wild Growth is a huge play. Same thing with putting the Jade Light on curve, etc. He just did not get that. This looks a little bit better, and there is the Duress with the Overgrown Tomb.
I like that hand.
So this is going to be turn 1, and it's going to be brilliant, and I want to see if he fishes for it and finds it, but he knows he wants to find that Teferi, and he did not find it. Oh, this looks bad.
Teferi. But that's good. At least you know there's not one for now.
That
might be one, though. We never know.
Now, the other brilliant part about this, and why Duress is such an MVP sideboard card, is because on turn 1, you're getting rid of an engine piece, a threat. You're breaking up a potential curved out play, a tempo play. But at the same time, you see his hand. You see what he's going to do. You see what his options are. You see that there's a shock in hand, a syncopate in hand.
Yeah.
You know that on turn 6, with the right mana, there's going to be a Niv Mizzet play potentially. And look at this. There's Wild Growth Walker, and it is... Oh, there's the Syncopate. He knew the Syncopate was there, though. That's kind of curious, because that is a big loss of tempo.
I don't mind it, though. Like, if you know it's there and you have other things you want to play, then getting rid of it, baiting it out early, it's very good. But, like, Jade Light Ranger and Wild Growth Walker, they're like the MVPs of any Explorer package, right?
Correct.
But now it's a risk. Like,
I know.
Do they have another counter?
Here's what I worry about. You play the Jade Light Walker. It comes in clean, but I don't know why he didn't play the Watery Grave first. I guess he was looking for other mana sources, but it would have locked up your opponent for more mana with Syncopate, with 2 open on. So that could be your today I learned. I know that it's happened to me many times where I got a little bit happy and played cards without playing land first, and then got spell pierced with an open land in hand, and I was like, you
silly tit.
You schmuck face. And I'm saying this to myself.
Yes. Because you don't do that to people when you play on paper, because that's rude.
That is rude. That's absolutely rude.
Yes.
In fact, what I do say is I will draw a card as per the rules.
Yes.
That's usually what I do.
And then you pass the turn by saying the force is with you.
And the force is with you.
Yes.
Small little fact, I don't know if anybody in the audience right now has ever played the Star Wars CCG from the 90s by Decipher. It is in the actual rule book that your turn is not over until you say the force is with you.
Oh, that's where it comes from. You're not just being obnoxious.
No. It's actually in the rule book. And I used to always do this with my buddies whenever I was like losing, and I would always say, I'm like, they'd be like, all right, your turn. I'm like, I'm like, don't make me call rule violation on you. He's like, the force is with you. I'm like, thank you. Force is with me.
Yes. One lands are getting rid of one of the dual lands there. Saying, nope, you will not curve out, and goodbye to your Llanowar Elf as well.
I think that's probably the best play. Because right now... Well, I mean, he doesn't know it. Okay, there's the Overgrown Tomb, which is going to drop a Carney T in the best possible way. But killing that Llanowar Elf and not drawing a land could have been an enormous play, because that would have just waited. That would have not played Carnage Tyrant on curve here. And Niv Mizzet is, I mean, he could come out. He's one away. Precog Perception in not the best place.
Digging for answers, though.
But that's it. I don't think he's got it. Well, what he needs right now is a Settle the Wreckage. He needs a Cleansing Nova that he does not need.
Niv Mizzet, does that do it for him? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7?
He's just going to go swing.
All I do is swing, no matter what.
He doesn't yet. He's going to be down to 1. He's going to have to sacrifice this. He's going to be down to 1 health. But, I mean, what more can you do? He's really hoping for a top deck of Cleansing Nova.
Yeah.
Good game. No Cleansing Nova, no Settle the Wreckage, no way to get back at it. We're going to game 3.
One Latincer goes Kerblooey.
And look at that again. Once again, that duress on turn 1 is exactly what I was talking about, Alias. Is that it's such an important card. I'm actually surprised he's not putting more.
I would put more in, honestly.
And look, I think he's thinking about it. He's just going through his list over here. Again, I think he's identified the fact that Ravenous Chupacabra only has one target here. I think it's still worth putting in. It's absolutely worth putting in. Unmoored Ego is a card that I would very highly recommend. Unmoored Ego on Niv Mizzet or Teferi or whatever you want. Those are such enormous swings that just takes away so much wind out of your sails once your entire engine piece, when one giant focal point of your deck is in the exile pile on turn 3 because it's just such a different aspect. Like it creates a scenario where you have to now play on tilt and off your game.
Yes.
When you have to think about how to win when you don't even have a board state, when one giant piece is gone.
Unmoored Ego has gained a whole bunch of popularity recently, I've noticed, especially in Best of Ones, trying to get rid of Nexus of Fates.
Nexus of Fate, yep, getting rid of those.
Oh yeah, that must make you feel like, ah.
Oh, it is probably, oh god, this land state does not look good, but he does have the land war elves to help him out here on the breeding pool.
Ditching the finality, let's see if he can find some land. He does, good.
Alright, so he's going to be okay. I think he'll be fine over here. He's going to take the shock to go ahead and put the land war elf out, but next turn looks alright. Drop an Overgrown Tomb, I think, into a Jade Light to make sure that tempo keeps rolling. Other option here is you Overgrown Tomb for 2, duress him, and then drop another Landwar Elf, and you're fine.
I like that. Does this get countered? No. Revitalize.
All right. Now, this is where...
That's curious. Why do that before the duress?
You definitely should not do that before... Why is he getting rid of counter magic instead of Teferi? I guess seeing 2 Teferis... 2
Teferis, though. 1 Teferi is just as bad as the second.
That's fine, but you have... but the thing about it is you have a Vraska's Contempt in hand with the mana available to play it. Yeah, you probably want to go Wild Growth here. I'm curious, but he looks like he wants to push tempo, knowing that there's no card to hit the board next turn as well. But I mean, hitting for a 4-spot Jade Light or hitting with a 3-spot Wild Growth next turn with the 6 health, I think that's the better option. Now... Again, another duress. See, here's the situation. Now you could have had both Teferis gone.
Ooh.
Mass manipulation is not a threat, I don't think.
Nah, that's quite a late game. Precog Perception. I would ditch a Teferi here. If he's battling to find lands, this puts Andrew in a very, very good position here.
100%. 100%. And again, what I'm really wondering over here is the choice to drop cheaper cards and keeping those big cards like Teferi and Teferi in his hand is probably because he sees that he's starved for land now and he has tempo options on board. So if his opponent cannot go ahead and grab the there's Deafening Clarion.
Deafening Clarion coming in with a clutch. Rude.
I still do not like the duress play there, but I mean, it's really working out over here because that's 2 duresses and 2 Teferis gone with a board state that you could have had that could have challenged the 3rd possible Teferi.
He's still 2 mana away though from a Teferi. Teferi's 5, right?
That's correct.
Yes. And then Nimbus on 6. Still no land drop there for 1 though. Getting starved like there's no tomorrow.
Now this is where it gets spooky because if there's some land coming to actually start keeping him up there's the land. And 7 mana, I mean, that's scary. That's going to be a big hit over here. That's going to be down to 6.
That's with settle potential there.
There is settle potential. What that one mystery card is over there. So why else do I like duress? Because when I can't see the opponent's hand, it really helps me out over here. So I can see what else is happening.
Well, let's see. And one more turn to find something.
If Teferi hits the board, and
there we go.
It's an instant Vraska response.
There we go.
Beautiful. Congratulations,
Andrew. Very nicely done, bud. Very nicely done.
The best part about this whole thing, as I was droning on and on about the importance of having 4 duresses in the sideboard, is the fact that he only put 2, and I was questioning it, and then he drew them both. So those are magic.
Andrew is just a better player than we are at this video game, which is true because he is a very, very good player. Congratulations, Andrew. You are in the 3rd spot in the Super Spiffy Tournament. So,
the Spiffness Classic.
The Spiffness Classic.
I've dubbed it the Spiffness. The Spiffness Classic.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. I will say though, it was quite funny hearing people commenting on the tournament name because they like kind of hesitate before they say it, right? It's like the Spiffy Tournament. I'm like, oh, come on, commit to it. Spiffy.
Just get in there. Just dive in.
Just get in there.
It's a word like anything else. Spiffness.
Spiffness. Yes, Spiffness. I create my own words. Don't judge me.
Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah. Fine.
Anyway. Yeah. Perfect.
All right, so friendos, all that leaves then is for us to show you who the wiener is.
Now, hold on. Before we get into there, I just want to, you know, we've seen a nice amount of decks that have come through. We've seen some Niv Mizzet, some Teferi, we've seen some Golgari, we've seen some white weenie detention nonsense. What do you think? I mean, in the current meta, I want to like ask you what the what you think is, I mean, Hydroid Krasis is obviously
pretty bonkers.
Probably it is, I mean, there's no debating it. It's the best and most impactful card that has come out of the set.
Yeah.
It's in, people are building decks around it.
That's why it's $50.
Yeah, it's big monies, but not on MTG Arena.
No.
It's just one mythic wild card. Just one. So yeah, so I mean, one card, like in previous sets, like in Dominaria, it was Teferi.
Yeah.
In this set, it's Hydroid Krasis. I feel like from Guilds of Ravnica, there might not be a card that really has taken the cake as being the the centerpiece.
The oh my gosh, I just got this when you crack the pack open.
Yeah. I mean, like coming out of that set, there was Doom Whisperer was a big one.
Doom Whisperer is probably the most impactful. I would want to say maybe Aurelia as well, but being in 2 colors, she's not as useful as Doomy Boy, for example.
Right.
So.
But the thing about it, like what I find is that with Hydroid Krasis, people are building decks around it. No one's building a deck around Aurelia. No one's building a deck to, or like are really modifying existing archetypes in order to include something like Golgari has Splash Blue for Hydroid Krasis. Yeah. You know, other decks have just splashed some blue in there in order to play that. Really, I don't see...
There's no real downside to playing the card. I mean, if it gets countered, like especially in Sultai or even Golgari just splashing blue decks, if you play the Krasis, you get a whole bunch of cards, you get life back because its ability triggers anyway. So, you know, and most of those lists run graveyard fetch cards. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna get that back now and irritate you again with it. So
it seems like such a perfect package of, I mean, would you play a card, just out of curiosity, would you play a card that was 4 mana, gain 2 life, draw 2 cards?
Hell yeah.
Exactly. And then slap down, and then you're slapping down a 4/4 flyer for a 2/2 flyer on that. That's insane. That just seems like craziness. Anyways, I'm just super excited. Super excited.
Super excited. Friendos, before we get into the finals, I would like to remind you again of our super duper spiffy prizes, being the Ravnica Allegiance Guild Kits and $125 cash prize, as well as $150 from TCG Player Store credits. Thank you very much to our sponsors for these prizes, and thank you to you guys as well. You help raise the extra monies there.
Money!
Yeah, anyway. Second place gets $150 store credits. Third and fourth both get $100 from TCG Player, and 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you guys each get $50 store credit. Stop playing with my slinky.
Wow.
From face-to-face games. So thank you once again to our super spiffy sponsors. You guys are great, and I love your faces. Give me back my slinky.
It all hangs in the balance.
Alrighty, friends, we are back. It is finals time. The finals being Ellie versus Tinted, Azorius Aggro versus 4-color Concoction. I don't know what to call it. She had a really fancy name for it. I'm pretty sure you're in the chat, so if you have that fancy name for it, Whirly Shit Gig or something to that effect. It was great.
Yeah, it was just, it's an absolute maelstrom of weirdness. There's some interesting combinations of creatures over here. I don't know if you want to rattle them off for our viewers.
Rekindling Phoenix, Goblin Chainwhirler, Gruul Spellbreaker, and Hydroid Krasis. Big Jellyfish making an appearance in a lot of the decks today. Yes,
coupled with that is some interesting support spells. 4 treasure maps, some Shivan Fire, some Shocks, some Status Statue, some Lava Coils. Looks to me like a lot of just smash and bang with this deck, with some good, cycling, some good, it's a mishmash. It's really difficult to sort of wrap your brain around it because it's not really something that you've seen very often.
And also, Goblin Chainwhirlers in a 4-color deck is ambitious at best.
Yes.
But we've seen it hit the board a few times already, so.
Yeah, but there's going to be there's 4 Blood Crypts, there's 4 Steam Vents, 4 Dragon Skull Summits, 4 Rootbound Crags, so there's plenty of 4 Stomping Grounds, lots of red mana sources here.
As well as the treasure maps as well.
And the treasure maps, if you can get those to pop off when needed, sacrificing a treasure to get that red mana is going to be important.
Cool, let's have a another look at Tinted's Azorius list. Just a reminder, chat, if you would like, use the command !top 4 to see the top 4 deck lists if you want to check them out. Tinted's Azorius Aggro, splashing blue only for the Nope spells on the sideboard and the Deputy of Detention. So pretty standard white weenie list with the Dauntless Bodyguards, the Hunted Witness, the Adanta Vanguard, that never goes away.
Yeah.
Tithe Taker. Do we think it'll be good in this matchup? Do you think it's going to be find some use?
It's going to be okay. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. I think what I'm more curious about over here is whether or not there's going to be an opportunity for this deck to go wide enough, fast enough, in order to really become a threat. Because at that point, when your opponent, Ellie's playing a deck that is very creature related in terms of dealing damage and creating threats. So if you're spending mana to play spells for removal, you're not establishing your own board. And she's playing a lot of creatures that do not come out early. They're not turn 1 or turn 2. It's a lot of 3, 4, or 5 mana cards over there. The Rekindling Phoenix at 4, the Chain Whirler at 3, this the Gruul Spellbreaker, and the Hydroid Krasis. I mean, these are all 3 and 4 cost cards. So there's not going to be an opportunity to really threaten the board early. So what she's going to need to do is make sure that she can get stuff out on curve and not really she needs, I don't want to say luck, but she needs a good curve out, and she needs her opponent to maybe miss leave 1 mana on the board. But once they hit the board, I think it's going to be a really difficult thing, because with the Chain Whirler's first strike, with the Phoenix's rekindling ability to come back, it's going to be a problem for her.
And coupled with the Shivan Fires, the Shocks, and all the other go away spells, it's going to be an interesting challenge for Tinted to keep his stuff on the board. So
absolutely, I think that this is one that by turn 5, it should be pretty clear how this one shakes out. I would be very surprised if this goes beyond like a turn 7, turn 8 scenario. It's either going to be a turn 4 easy win for white here, for the white weenies, or it's going to be an absolute slaughter fest by turn 3 or 4 in the opposite direction. It's going to be really tough without a sideboard in game 1. I'm going to say, I don't know, but I'm going to say that game 1 goes to Ellie.
Alrighty, well, let's find out, friends. Brace your underpants, because here come the finals of the Super Spiffy MTG tournament. Enjoy. Alright.
Azorius aggro edits. There it is. And look at that mysterious cloaked character Ellie playing, not knowing what the hell's going on. There she is.
We will take a little while to see Ellie's hand, just a problem with the recording, so we will see Tinted's perspective for the first few turns, and then we'll get Ellie in as well.
And here's the first little tidbit here. No 1-drops, 1 mana.
That looks better.
That looks much better, because you're getting a turn 1 with the Legion's Landing, and the great part here is that you're probably going to be gaining a little bit of life to buy you some time, which is going to be nice. Getting rid of that land, looking for more creatures, hopefully maybe getting a Hunted Witness coming off the top so you can drop the Bodyguard and the Hunted Witness, another Dauntless Bodyguard maybe. There's lots of options coming in here.
Allied Fountain, good. Finding a blue source for the Deputy of Detention when you see something you want to snatch up.
Yeah, that's a good opportunity. Good time to play that land tap, not sacrifice any life. You only have one 1-drop anyway, so dropping the Hallowed Fountain tapped is that's probably your best option to do it, because now, boom, looking good.
Right, with Ellie's 1 mana open, then we could see an opt or a shock.
I wouldn't say.
Might be wrong.
Oh, Shivan Fire coming in.
Fire. All right, there we go.
Yep, crushing that Bodyguard, but it's okay. Getting that life total over here, and Venerated Loxodon is going to look really good next turn. Gets that it gets the vampire out of the range of shock, but Lava Coil making short work of the Benalish.
Rest in pieces, poor little Benalish. All right.
And like we mentioned earlier, I mean, the way that this is going to work is that Tinted needs to establish a threatening board early and keeping creatures on the board, making sure that every time Ellie takes a turn, she's clearing the board, she's cleaning up a mess, and not establishing her own board. But Chain Whirler comes down, not an effective Chain Whirler though.
We do see Unbreakable Formation in Tinted's hand, so if there are any board wipes coming, then Unbreakable Formation will keep stuff alive.
Venerated Loxodon representing a 5/5, making no problem with that Chain Whirler. A shock in the hand of Ellie could have made short work of it with the Chain Whirler defending, but no shock there. I would suspect that would have been the time to use it. So once we get a window into that hand, we can probably guess there's no shock. There we go.
There we go. All right, now we don't have to guess. Now...
This changes everything. This absolutely changes everything. Double Chain Whirler on the board means that it's gonna clean...
Wait, look at that. Status on the Chain Whirler before he pings. Oh, sugar plum dumplings. Everything dies.
That is a spectacular play, and this is what we're talking about.
Nice.
Because that would have been like it was going to be a matter of having to get something on the board to stick, and she did. And Ellie throws down, and with that brilliant play, that is an efficient play to get both. You have your hand advantage, card advantage. You have the board state in your favor, and that Legion's Landing is just standing there looking really sad right now.
A real sad Legion's Landing. Treasure map making an appearance, and I won't be surprised if we see a quick scry, but, you know, being a good Magic player, you'll do it on the end of your opponent's turn before your upkeep.
Yeah, that's the kind of, like, when you go from beginner to intermediate, intermediate to advanced, it's all about when you do your actions and on the triggers and such. This is spicy. This is big. This cleans up that whole board. There's nothing in Ellie's hand to stop this. Goblin Chainwhirler is going to say goodbye to the Deputy of Detention. Without anything in the hand to actually deal with the Deputy of Detention, there goes 2 Chainwhirlers just like that. Double combo, supersize that capture.
Excellent, excellent.
There's the scry. Not sure what she's scrying away, but we'll find it. We'll find out what she kept next time. But she scryed to the top, so clearly she likes what she sees, and she's grabbing a
Rekindling Phoenix. Yeah, I like it.
This is a beautiful card right now because this is going to represent. There's no way that she's going to go on the offensive with this. What she's saying over here is that you're not attacking me ever. Not happening. But Unbreakable Formation could be a nice spicy card to throw in there.
Oh.
Opting to keep the land in hand over here is probably a good idea. Keeps a little bit of mystery going.
Kind of like this in the main phase, but deciding not to. No attacks. Just to give them 1/1 counters, vigilance, and indestructible.
So this is where this becomes a little bit of a problem here.
I see. Okay.
Chainwhirler is going to come down. Unbreakable Formation is probably going to keep the board livable, but what does that really do? You're getting rid of a Dauntless, or you're playing Unbreakable Formation to save a Dauntless Bodyguard.
I would have maybe gone with the Unbreakable Formation in the first main phase, the last turn, just to give them those 1/1 counters, because even though they're indestructible now, that thing is still 1 toughness. So any future Smork, that thing's unfortunately going to die.
So all of the creatures that Ellie plays are really self-sufficient. I mean, with the first strike on the Chainwhirler, that can pretty much make short work of every single creature other than the Loxodon that lives in that in Tinted's deck. Rekindling Phoenix is just going to keep coming back and coming back and coming back, unless for some reason there could, another Deputy Detention can deal with the Rekindling Phoenix, which would be nice.
Hydroid Krasis making an appearance using those treasures.
I think that wouldn't be a bad play.
5/5.
You're adding some spice to your hand over here. You're actually now putting something on the board that can start threatening life. Because beforehand, you're keeping the Rekindling Phoenix as a
blocker.
As a blocker, yeah. But now you can go ahead and threaten the board with both flyers. So you really need something to deal with this, which Tinted did not, and that's that. So, like I said, it was a matter of just getting rid of that early game board state and then establishing your bigger, badder, meaner creatures.
No sideboarding, unfortunately, so we're moving straight into game 2. Let's see what our opponents...
So just
what our players have come up with.
There was some sideboarders, we just didn't see it.
Yeah.
Right. So in this case, cards for Tinted, things like... Tocatli Honor Guard. I don't know how much that's going to really help, but I suspect that there's going to be a lot more blue presence.
Baffling Ends, yeah, definitely.
The Baffling Ends can make, that's in the sideboard, can definitely make some appearance. A Disdainful Stroke can crush the Phoenix.
A Johnny as well, even just to get everything a little tougher so that Wobblygook Chainwhirler doesn't smork the entire board again.
Absolutely. Not bumping into any counter magic. The cards like Ajani are going to be really, really nice on the board if they can get them on curve. But once again, Tinted making a play very, very early with going wide as much as possible. The Banalish Marshal is gone to a double shock. So that's 2 spot removals that are gone. Rather than getting rid of the token and the Dauntless Bodyguard, opting instead to get rid of the bigger, badder, meaner Banalish Marshal.
Here comes Wobblygook and goodbye. to the board.
Now this card, when it came out in Dominaria, I remember this was one of the most coveted red cards that just crapped all over any type of token play, any Selesnya, any type of Saprolings,
all my vampires,
everything. It just came in there and looked them dead in the eye, and it was good night, goodbye. And here it is again, Ellie just making a statement, getting rid of absolutely every possible threat. And the Adanto Vanguard is a potential option because it has a little bit of sticky ability to just stay there, but you are eating 4 damage a turn.
Yeah. Adanto Vanguard is great on the attack, but it's terrible as a defender. So bad.
Rootbound Crag allowing the Angrath to come out on curve.
Oh, now we're going to see some face pinging, I believe.
This is going to be a little bit ugly, and I suspect that if they go +1 on this, it's going to be the Venerated Loxodon that he gets rid of, but opting instead to steal the Adanto. Oh yeah, going face and then just sacking that bad boy, saying no gracias.
6 damage to the face and goodbye to your Adanto Vanguard. Feels bad.
Just like that, I mean, Ellie has just made a statement with this interesting splash of colors, and we haven't seen any green hit the board besides that Hydroid Krasis early. But Angrath, a wonderful card. It really come out of the shadows as a card that was really seeing no play early on, and now having a lot more fun given Rakdos.
Rakdos Spectacle, perfect.
So this is where it could become fun too, because now the Loxodon is the only card that that Tinted is playing that can really challenge the Goblin Chain Whirler. But unfortunately, with that shock in Ellie's hand, there's going to be a really disgusting surprise happening here.
We'll probably see a block here and bye-bye Big Elephant.
Now the other option, so if he didn't block, if Tinted didn't block, there was to just take the 3 damage and then go ahead and trade with the Angrath or possibly whatever else comes out.
Yeah.
But it's just
because every turn now that they're drawing, Angrath just gets rid of that card.
Yeah. And I wish we can see that. I wish we can see that graveyard, but I believe the graveyard was shock, 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 lava coil, which just it basically just tells your white weenie opponent that this ain't your day, buddy bear.
Oh, buddy. All right. Is there anything to find? I don't think there's it. No. Yeah, there we go. Shock, shock, lava coil, shock.
Now, in this case, one option would be to go ahead and hit Finality on your Goblin Chain Whirler, but I don't think that's really the point here. I mean, you could just attack with the Hydroid Krasis for, yeah, it's probably the right play.
Yeah, the Hydroid could have got in there for 2 extra damage.
And now you have a 5/5 First Strike Chain Whirler.
Yeah.
Staring you dead in the face, and a that's game right there. 2 damage, sacrificing a Plains.
They can make a what's it, a life linker, but choosing not to.
No, it didn't flip.
No, you're right. It
never flipped.
Right,
he never got the option.
Never got enough on the board there to flip the things. So victory to Ellie with the 4-color concoction. Congratulations, my dear. You are the first ever Super Spiffy MTG Arena Tournament winner champion thing. And you will have all those titles in that exact order. Congratulations, my dear.
There's a virtual plaque being sent directly to your inbox.
Yes.
No.
With a hug as well from myself. Congratulations, Ellie. Excellent, excellent work. That is a Weekend Daughter in the chat. Coming to the Twitch Prime sub as well. Thank you, my dear. I will be in touch with you all very soon about your prizes.
I just want to talk about a little bit about that game. I mean, that matchup was really, it was a very difficult matchup. And I honestly thought that there was going to be a point where with the sideboard options, there could have been a better showing by Tinted in game 2. But I think that when you draw 3 shocks and a lava coil early on in game 2 against a deck that just really represents low cost, low toughness minions, as soon as you have the mana to just drop in a Chain Whirler, to drop in a free Kindling Phoenix, the Hydroid Krasis, and Angrath, like there's just not enough for the for Tinted, the white player who played the white weenie deck, to really go ahead and challenge, because you're not drawing cards, and anything that you're keeping in hand, if you want to eventually maybe hoard some cards to drop 2 or 3 at a time, Angrath is just crapping all over you. So
I think the one thing that might have made a difference in the first game was holding on to a card and keeping Unbreakable Formation up, because that's when we saw that crazy Chain Whirler into Death Touch disaster, which
disaster or chaotic beauty?
Well, it was a beautiful disaster. There we go.
There we go.
Let's go Kelly Clarkson on it. Why not? Yeah. So I think perhaps that would have changed things a little bit. But overall, this deck seems pretty bonkers. With that much burn, that much smorking that's going on, and the big creatures that just say nope to everything. You're gonna have a tough time getting through that, and yeah, Ellie played it very, very well. So
I'd be very curious to see what their matchups were in the Swiss round for Ellie. I think that a deck like that she's playing over here feels like it might not be too well matched up against a very heavy control deck.
Yeah, I would actually be interested to find out. So I'm gonna go and snoop in the records because we obviously do have all those up in our brackets as well. Just to see like what were the matchups that Ellie came up against. I mean, looking at her list over here. She's 5 cell type players.
Well, there we go. So I mean, just looking at the list over here, I feel like every match that she went into where she saw white, she was just no X-Lens binding, no X-Lens binding, because there was nothing to get rid of enchantments in her deck really. And I feel like grabbing a Chain Whirler, grabbing a Hydroid Krasis,
yeah, grabbing that would be big.
Incredibly important. So not taking anything away from this victory because it was well played and masterful. But I feel like this isn't the salvation deck. This isn't the almighty deck. It is a well-built, well-constructed, well-piloted deck that we have not discovered or not seen the weakness for yet. So
I think my favorite inclusion in this deck, as weird as it is probably Cinder Vines. Just bringing that in against a control player, being able to play that on turn 2 and turn 3, getting them both out. And just pinging them in the face. Every time they want to do something, it's like, how much do you like your life total? Right.
Yeah, sorry. So I said there was no enchantment crushing. There was the Cinder Vines, which was great. So that gives a little edge to control. But I still think that just 3 Cinder Vines is not going to necessarily push this through against the control. But I mean, 2 Rekindling Phoenixes coming back over and over and over against just hard removal versus exile could have been a good option as well. So ultimately, the tournament essentially spoke for itself in that case. Yeah. She won. So how am I supposed to? I'm not trying to criticize it. I'm just merely trying to poke some holes.
Yeah. Now comes the time where we want to go. What can we do to make this like amazinger? Even though it's pretty good by itself, right? Yeah. We just like. I'm very interested to give this a go, and I think I want to play this tomorrow. So.
I think it's definitely worth a little bit more exhibition from this. Absolutely. So congratulations to Ellie for this wonderful win, and just crushing those weenies.
Yes, smorking all the face. Guys, thank you very, very, very much for taking part in this first Super Spiffy tournament for Magic Arena. I did not expect it to gain, as I said, I didn't expect it to gain the traction that it did, or the interest. I've had a bunch of people come back with really, really good feedback saying, this was excellent, thank you for participating, it was so great to meet people in the community, and that's what it was about. Like, that was the intention, is to get you guys talking to your friends, the viewers, the guys who watch every day, and completely new people as well, who through the grapevine heard about this and were like, hey, let's go take part in that because it might be fun. We had great players in, we had a bunch of streamers playing as well. We had Chris Clay playing too, the game dev from WotC, so thank you very much for taking part. You guys made this super spiffy, just to throw in the name there again, and I want to thank you very much for that. We also had excellent, excellent sponsors. So once again, thank you to TCG Player, Face to Face Games, and Flipside Gaming for an awesome prize pool. Funny story, I actually was told by the judge that Face to Face hired for us yesterday, that when Kelly from Face to Face Games approached the judging communities to say, hey, are any of you available for this tournament? It's cool, there's a bunch of prizes and whatnot. They all went, oh, and they're like, when's the next one? Because apparently, people would sometimes have to drive 4 hours for prizing as cool as this. So yeah, that makes me feel pretty happy and chuffed and just very thankful to all of you for supporting this endeavor. And yeah.
So this is awesome. This is where you announce that there's a second one.
Oh, there will be a second one. I would just like to have a nap first.
Yeah. No, honestly, thank you so much for putting this together, for making all the contacts, and actually just recruiting not only the sponsorship, but the actual community support. And thank you to all the mods, the devs, everybody.
Mods, you guys, you are my sane keepers. You keep me sane. Thank you so much for handling all of the myriad questions that came in and answering the same thing 12 million times. You guys are great. Could not do without you.
Where do I submit my deck list?
Yeah.
Where do I submit my deck list? Where do I submit my deck list?
I can't find my opponents. But no, it's great. Thank you, Flake, as well, for adding some extra spice and whatnot to the casting as well. You are very, very good at this, friend.
Thank you very much.
I hope I can learn some stuff from you.
Oh, well, it was my pleasure. Thank you very much for listening, everybody out there, and putting up on my garbage. Because whatever you out there have to put up with, she has to put up with it in like tenfold, right up in my face. So honestly, yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. This was a lot of fun. I hope to do more of this in the future and support this great endeavor, this great venture that you're doing. So
all right, and we have production coming in from the back there. So.
Production putting his fingers in my ears.
Alrighty, guys, on that note, we love you, we leave you, we will see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching, for playing, for sponsoring, for supporting. Stay spiffy, and I'm gonna steal your line. Be kind.
Be kind. Don't tell me what to do.